Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since my last upload, but hopefully this one will make up for my absence. In this video I added a lot of flair to the main castle building and end up with a good foundation for where my world as a whole is headed next. I ended up adding stories to the crop farm like I had mentioned in my last video. I didn't record myself building it for some reason, but I did film some shots of it. Those are on screen right now. I'm still not done with it, as you can see, but when I do finish it, hopefully I'll record this time. Without rambling too much, let's get straight into the video. To start off, I had to move these villagers so I could start building in this area. This is only a temporary place to keep them after I had moved the iron farm. I'm not sure where to put them at exactly. Eventually I'll implement a building to house them, but for the time being they're just going to stay under the castle. Now that I had the area clean, I could start building. I started off with a little sidewalk going around the farm. I thought it looked pretty cool, and it filled in a little bit of the area that was a little barren, so it ended up working out pretty good. To continue off the farm theme I wanted to go with in this quadrant, I wanted to throw a few farm-like buildings in this area. With this building specifically, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do with it. I was just kind of building and seeing where it went. It came out as kind of a stable of sorts, but I ended up being pretty happy with it. It gave me a place to throw my animals for the time being, which is really nice because they were kind of just strewn about in the open. You can see me moving them here. I'm going to build a building for them in a second, but this was just where I moved them for the time being. Moving on to the other side, we have this building. I'm still not sure exactly what it is, but it turned out pretty good. I like the little concept I had going. I wanted to make sure that all these little farmhouses were going to be unique in their own right, and I think in the end they all turned out that way, so I was very pleased with that. If you know me, you know I don't like torches, and I'd found kind of a cheeky way to hide the lighting for the torches inside the walls using these trapdoors. So the inside was torch free and no mobs could spawn, which was really nice. Moving on to the third building, I wanted this one to be big since it was kind of splitting the distance in between both of the other buildings. I have no clue what happened there, but I think I was jamming out to some music. It ended up being a pretty difficult challenge trying to build with the shape that I had going, but it ended up working out really well in the end. Since I now had a place to store them all, I was going to move all of my animals to the new buildings I had built. Because of where I had kept my sheep, they were very loud constantly, and they were kind of getting on my last nerve, so I was very glad to finally get them out of my hair. Since it was going to be virtually impossible to move all the sheep I had under the castle to the new place, I kind of had to do something I didn't want to do.
I'm sorry, little one.
don't know what that was, but moving on. I was gonna mine these trees so I could replant smaller ones because I thought they kind of looked better because the big ones were very bulky. At this point, I needed a bunch of sea lanterns for lighting blocks around the entire castle, so I just went ahead and decided to build a guardian farm. This farm design was quite easy to build. It wasn't very expensive or anything, and it didn't take long at all. So I would definitely recommend it, and I'll leave a link to the video for where I found how to build it in the description. The way this specific design works is it sends the guardians to the nether, to a kill pit, and it kills them there, rather than worrying about killing them in the overworld. It's kind of just a more efficient way of doing it, and it wasn't really much of a hassle to do it here. Here's the completed kill chamber. It took maybe like 20 minutes to build, so it ended up being really quick. As you can see here, the farm was already working really well, so that was a great surprise. After finishing the farm, I went AFK for probably 8 to 12 hours, and when I came back, all the chests were completely full of loot, so the farm ended up working out really well. Now I had moved on to building the porch areas for each of the quadrants, and they were all going to be based on the specific materials that were going to be used in that quadrant. The blue color is such an unusual shade, but it also looks really cool when you have all these different blue colors added together. I was pleasantly surprised to see how well the sea lanterns matched the blue of this wood type specifically. I actually had to add additional lighting because the soul lanterns weren't lighting up the area enough to prevent mobs from spawning. Okay, so here's the finished interior. This is present day footage because I changed the floor from andesite to diorite, so I wanted to make sure that change was shown in the video. Now I had moved on to building the exterior of this part of the building. Here's the finished exterior. I still can't get over how beautiful this side looks. I'm very happy with it. There's supposed to be a window here, but this map is kind of a relic since it's just an older version of the whole build. So for now I'm going to keep it here, and maybe I'll move it later. I don't know. This is the third quadrant I started working on, and it is the Crimson Quadrant. It's supposed to be hot themed, so you'll see a little bit of lava and stuff like that shown in the design. The main theme for this quadrant is going to be red, because red equals hot, obviously. So anything orange and red is going to be the color palette for this area. As you can see on screen, I ended up going with the mangrove wood instead of crimson wood because I felt it matched the palette better, because the crimson wood is almost a purple color and I felt like it just didn't work well. Here's the completed Crimson Quadrant. I think the red looks really cool. This will be a really fun area to build in the future. Now on to the fourth and final quadrant. I'm not going to show me building it all because y'all have literally seen me do that 3 times now already, so I'm just going to skip to the end result. So with the final quadrant, I wanted something a little different from the others to kind of make it stand out and be its own thing. So I went with acacia wood, and I think it worked really well. The colors are real subtle, and it just looks nice. And I think for this design of this entire area, I'm going to do like an oasis type theme, and I think that'll be really cool. Overall, I think this quadrant is going to look really good because the lighter colors just work really well together, and it's going to give off kind of a mellow vibe almost for this entire quadrant. So I'm excited for the future for this area. To end off the video, it only made sense to go back to the first lounge since we finished the other 3 in this video. Something I didn't mention earlier is that I actually changed the floor in this area to cobblestone because I felt like it just kind of matched the palette a little better than the andesite I had here previously. So you'll see that here in the footage. And with that, that is going to be a wrap for the video. I know I didn't get too terribly much done here, but I think what we have now is a really good foundation for where the build as a whole can go in the future. One thing I wanted to discuss was the difference in format from this video to the last, because in the last video I just talked while I was playing, but in this video I voice over the entire thing. I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but I would like to do whichever one you guys prefer and whichever makes better content, so please let me know in the comments. But anyways, I mainly want to thank you for making it to the end of the video. It means a lot, and I'm glad you stuck around, and hopefully I will see you in another upload. And most importantly, stay safe and be well, and I will see you next time.